So the first person we're going to have will be my very own co-host, Mr. Jan Roberts. Who is he? He is known as a global influencer and self-leadership strategist. He is co-founder of Key Leadership Institute, founder of JR Speakers Club based in South Africa and Scotland. He is an international leadership keynote speaker, coach, self-care encourager, behavioral analysis consultant, and he's also a values-based leadership specialist. His focus and vision is to impact and transform millions of people by providing sustainable solutions using world-class innovative methods that are proven internationally. He uses values-based leadership with his powerful transformational roundtables process to impact many organizations from governments, corporations, universities, colleges, and schools to NGOs and communities seeking upliftment. We all need upliftment, don't we? As an international leadership coach for the last 14 years, he has discovered tools and techniques to realign positive growth, personal development, confidence building, powerful communication, and self-leadership for individuals in their personal lives, their businesses, and their social environment. Well-rounded. Jan has spoken on 4 continents on a variety of subjects, worked in over 10 countries, and managed multi-million-dollar projects in the oil industry. He believes that positive culture, not just positive culture, but positive culture change is key to making people feel valued, honored, and respected as human beings, regardless of race, culture, religion, gender, or historical difference. With not much ado, I present to you Mr. Jan Roberts talking to us about purpose and identity. Finding your purpose and identity. You have the floor, my dear co-host.
And I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for that introduction. As was said earlier, who is that person? I got to meet him. But yeah, I'm here, and thank you very much. Well, first of all, thank you to my co-host, the tremendous work she's done already, and the things we've done together to get here. So I'm really privileged and pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to work with you. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Before we actually talk about purpose and identity, let me ask you to picture a moment with me. Imagine appears that's very different, or life simply moves them into a new season. And in that moment, a question quietly appears in our mind. If I am no longer who I thought I was, who am I now? Now, that question is far more common than we realize, because it happens to executives, it happens to parents, it happens to community leaders, and it happens to ordinary people navigating extraordinary life changes. See, your assignment may change, but your purpose remains. But here is something we often overlook in conversations about health and well-being. When people lose their sense of identity and purpose, they often begin losing something else as well. Hope. And we all know that where there is no hope, the people perish. And our hope, as we know, is one of the most powerful medicines the human spirit possesses. Now, as I mentioned earlier, yesterday, in fact, when Scott was talking about poverty and hope, another wonderful quote, where there is hope in the future, there is power in the present, which as a positive person, I like much better than the other one, and I really hope you agree. So today, I want to explore something that sits quietly underneath many social health challenges around the world. Something that I believe is one of the most underestimated determinants of human well-being, and that is the human need for purpose, which is not a luxury, and we should never take it lightly either. See, in many discussions around the social determinants of health, we rightly speak about income, education, housing, healthcare access, community support, and so much more. And all of these are critical important. But there is another determinant that operates quietly beneath single one of them, and that is meaning. Now, human beings are wired for meaning. So when people wake up in the morning knowing why they matter and where they are going, their mental, emotional, and even physical resilience increases. But when purpose disappears, something else appears, and it's called drift. And drift actually slowly erodes health, relationships, and entire communities. Now, let me share a short example that illustrates the power of purpose. And I love this example because I've read the book several times, and it's about the Australian neurologist and psychologist Viktor Frankl. He survived several Nazi concentration camps during the Holocaust, and in those unimaginable conditions, Viktor Frankl observing something remarkable. The prisoners who had something to live for, whether a loved one, unfinished work, a calling they believed still awaited them, they were often the ones who found the strength to endure longer. Now, after the war, Frankl wrote the famous book, Man's Search for Meaning. It's a very thin book, but so powerful, where he shared this powerful insight. Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Even in the darkest circumstances imaginable, purpose helps people survive. Now, what Frankl discovered during that inhumane time is something we also see in our communities today. When people believe their lives have meaning, they endure hardship better, they recover from setbacks faster, and they are far more likely to remain mentally and emotionally healthy. See, purpose does not remove difficulty, but it gives people the strength to move through it. Now, let me tell you another little story. A few years ago, I worked with a senior leader who had spent nearly 30 years building a successful career. He had a title, the income, as well as the reputation. And then one day, the company restructured. Now, within months, everything he had built, his identity around disappeared. And he said something to me that I will never forget. He said, Jan, I feel I lost myself. Now, not just his job, but himself. Because for decades, his identity had been tied to a role rather than a deeper purpose. And this is something many people experience at different stages of life, of course. It could be retirement, career changes, loss of income, relocation, health crisis, empty nest seasons, or translation into leadership. These moments are not just changes, they are identity earthquakes. I found that and I thought that was so powerful. But here's the powerful truth I shared with him. Your role may change, but your purpose does not disappear. It may simply be changing its assignment. And to go back to these identity earthquakes I just mentioned, they can come through career change, health crisis, retirement, or major life disruptions. I know we can all think of some and we've had them ourselves or going through some. But history also gives us a powerful example of individuals who refuse to allow their circumstances to redefine their identity. One such powerful example, closer to home for many of us, especially in South Africa, is about Nelson Mandela, of course. See, when he was in prison for 27 years during apartheid, the goal of imprisonment was not just to restrict his freedom, it was to break his identity, to make him feel powerless, to make him believe his story was finished. But Mandela understood something deeply important. He refused to let the prison define who he was. Instead, he held on to a larger purpose, reconciliation, justice, and a future for South Africa that many people at that time could barely even imagine. And so when he finally walked out of that prison in 1990, he did not walk out as a broken man. He walked out as a leader whose purpose had grown stronger than his circumstances. Now that is the extraordinary power of identity anchored in purpose. See, circumstances may confine you, but purpose can still set you free. See, what sustained Mandela for 27 years was not comfort, security, or financial success. It was something deeper, a sense of purpose larger than himself. And when individuals discover that kind of purpose, it strengthens not only their lives, but the health and resilience of entire societies. See, Mandela's circumstances changed dramatically over those 27 years, but something inside of him never changed. His assignment changed from prisoner to negotiator to president, but his purpose remained constant. And that is something each of us can remember when life shifts unexpectedly. See, your assignment may change, you've already heard this, but your purpose remains. And one of the most freeing ideas we can give people is this: you are not your job. You are not your title, and you are not your current assignment. Those are simply expressions of your purpose, but they are not the source of it. Now, let me explain that. See, think of life like a book. Each season is a chapter, whether it's teacher, parent, doctor, entrepreneur, community leader, mentor, and there are many, many more. But we might even wear many such capes at the same time. But when one chapter ends, the author is still writing. The mistake many people make is believing my chapter has ended, therefore my story is over. But often what is really happening is something very different. You are being prepared for a new assignment. Now let me pause here for just a moment and ask you something. Think about someone in your life who clearly lives with purpose. It could be a teacher, a community leader, a healthcare worker, maybe even a family member. For me, it is my dad. He's nearly 89 and he's semi-retired. He loves what he does. But just think about it for a moment. And now notice something when you think about that very person. It might even be yourself, of course. People who live with purpose often share three visible qualities. Number one, they have energy even when work is hard. Number two, they have resilience even when circumstances are difficult. And number three, they create hope in the people around them. Now, that is not accidental. Purpose does not, it actually does something powerful to human beings in their mind and their spirit, and it gives a reason to keep going even when life becomes difficult or complicated. One of the simplest ways to rediscover purpose is not by asking, what do I want to do next? But by asking a different question altogether. Where am I needed? See, purpose almost always reveals itself through service to others. Think about the most fulfilling people you know. They are rarely the ones chasing status or money or anything else. Instead, they are the ones solving problems that matter. And some of those examples are helping families, educating children, building communities, helping people, or creating opportunity. Purpose grows where contribution lives. And when people experience meaning and meaningful contribution, the three powerful things happen. Identity stabilizes, hope increases, and health improves. And all because the human spirit begins to feel alive again. Since today's theme includes financial and spiritual determinants, let me touch on something very important. Financial stability certainly influences well-being, but money alone does not create meaning. And I have worked with highly successful individuals who are deeply unfulfilled, and yet I have also worked with community leaders with very little income, yet they had enormous energy and joy and resilience. Why? Because they knew why they existed. And that also talks very much into Significance, as my friend and mentor John Maxwell says, when you have tasted significance, success will never be enough. And when I finally understood that and experienced that on a transformational trip to Guatemala, where we trained 19,000 leaders to become facilitators in values-based leadership in 2013, it completely changed my life. But that's a story for another day. The spiritual dimension of health often answers two fundamental questions. Why am I here? Now we hear about this. There are 2 days in a person's life that are most important: the day you were born and the day you discover why. And the second question is, who am I becoming? See, it's not about what I have or what I can get. It is who I become on the journey that I'm living right now. And when people actually reconnect with those answers, they regain direction. And there are also three questions that help people really recover purpose. See, when I coach leaders go through major transitions, I often ask them three questions. These questions work whether someone is 25 or 75 or anywhere in between. And the first one is, what breaks your heart? See, the problems that move you emotionally often reveal deeper calling: injustice, poverty, education, health inequalities, environmental care. Your passion is often pointing you towards that purpose. The second one is, what strength keep showing up in your life? Sometimes purpose is hidden in plain sight. People might constantly come to you for advice, encouragement, strategy, organization, health, or leadership. And these repeated patterns are clues, as your strengths are rarely accidental. So the third one is, who benefits when you show up fully? I had to put my teeth back in for that one. Purpose always connects to people. And is it a child, a patient, a community, a team, a generation, or what is it for you? See, when you understand who your life serves, your purpose just becomes clearer. One of the greatest gifts we can offer people in society is this understanding. Life allows reinvention. See, people can begin new chapters whether they're at 40, 50, 60, or even later. And I love what Jeff talked about in ageism yesterday, which was very important in this context. But some of the most impactful social leaders in the world began their most meaningful work after major life transitions. Maybe I'm talking to one of you about this. The key is not holding on to an identity that no longer fits, like so many of us do, because we need to belong, we need to fit in, rather than, and we were born to stand out. But asking yourself courageously, what is my next assignment? Purpose is not just reserved for the chosen few. It belongs to everyone. And when individuals rediscover their purpose, family strengthens, communities develop, and health improves in a way that policies alone can never achieve. Because when people believe their lives matter, they start living differently. So let me leave you with a few final reflections. Whether you are a policymaker, a health professional, a community leader, or someone navigating your own life transition, ask yourself these simple questions. What chapter of life am I in right now? You might have to talk in the mirror for that one, and hopefully you get a good answer. And the other one is, what assignment might be waiting for me in the next one? Because your life is not over. We all have time that we are alive, but because your story is not finished, your purpose is still unfolding. And the world still needs what you can bring. But don't wait until tomorrow, as we all know where that goes. My other friend and mentor, Les Brown, talks into where the richest place is not the gold mines of South Africa, the oil fields in the Middle East, or the stock exchanges around the world. He says the richest place is the graveyard, because that's where dreams were never developed. Engineers never invented anything. Books were never written. Songs were never sung. You get that? You get the idea there. Now, here's something for you. How would you feel if you are in your bed on your very last day on this earth, with all the ghosts of your skills, your purpose, and all the things you are meant to do on this earth standing around your bed and asking you, All of this was only meant for you. These were your gifts and you alone. Why did you not do any of it? Yet now it is too late. Now all of that will die with you. How would you feel? See, your story is not finished yet. Yet, yes, all previous chapters are closed, but the next chapters in your life is a blank page for you to write. But make sure you hold the pen. Make sure you start writing today. Otherwise, someone else will. So, as we continue these important discussions about the financial and spiritual determination of health, I would encourage you to remember something simple yet profound. Healthy societies are not built only through policy. They are built through people who believe their lives matter, people who understand their purpose, people who know that even when one chapter of life ends, that their story is not over. And perhaps that is the most hopeful message we can share with the world today. Your titles may change, your assignments may change, your seasons of life may change. In fact, they will change. But the unique contribution you were created to make is still needed, is still possible, and is still waiting for you to be lived. Purpose is not something we retire from. It is something we continue discovering. The world needs more people who understand why they are here, people who live with purpose, people who serve others, people who know their lives can make a difference. Because when purpose awakens in people, communities change, and sometimes even the world changes. Will it be you? Will it be somebody you know? We don't know. That is up to you. So as we continue working together to improve the health of our communities and our societies, let us remember something simple yet deeply important. People do not only need medicine. People do not only need more policies. People need meaning. Because when people discover why their lives matter, they begin living differently. And even when life changes, when roles shift, when one chapter closes and another one begins, just remember this. Your assignment may change, but your purpose remains. Thank you.
Wow. All I can say is